What's going on, guys? Andy T here with my first ever YouTube video. So what my channel is going to be about is going to be gameplay from mainly Formula 1 2014, because that is my favourite game, because I'm a huge Formula 1 fan. There will be a bit of FIFA 15 in there, but I'm quite annoyed at FIFA at the minute because it's just really irritating and bad. So I don't know when that'll be. There'll also be some Assassin's Creed Rogue, or I think that's Rogue. Anyway, the one on Xbox 360. There'll be some Bioshock Infinite and some Forza Horizon 2, all coming up in the future. However, it's not going to be loads all at once because I do have my A-level exams in the next couple of months, so I will obviously be doing work for that, so there won't be regular videos, probably about 1 to 2 a week depending on how much work I have to do each week. So here we are then on F1 2014, and I'm starting my season with Ferrari. I thought about doing it with Red Bull because that car really suits the way I drive, but I am a huge Ferrari fan, so I thought I'd stick with my loyalties and go for Ferrari. So yeah, so basically my channel, gaming channel, is what I've established so far. So here we are then at Albert Park, free practice. I'm not really sure about Albert Park. It's a circuit that I sort of like, but at the same time I don't, because I like it's okay to drive around, because I only tend to drive around it on career mode. It's never really a pleasure to drive around because the car is always so bad, like there's so much tyre wear, so there's hardly ever any grips, so I can't really push, and I struggle really to get a setup as well around Albert Park, so I just use this general setup here that I've currently just gone through, which it's a general sort of setup that I tend to use, maybe with a few tweaks here and then depending on the track. So here we are then, going to track, and to be honest, free practice really, it wasn't great for me because I have to record this through AV rather than HDMI because of my capture card, and with AV it makes the screen absolutely massive, like everything in the screen is just amplified, and it was really strange to get used to driving to it, and it just really did throw me off, and I couldn't really drive my best. I was really lapping like a couple of seconds slower than what I could have done if it was in HDMI. I really did struggle for pace. So here I'm starting my first lap and coming round to the end. This is actually my second lap. See there, my first lap is the best at 37, 1 minute 37, but here I do a 1 minute 33.2. Just trying to pump out these lap times, really get used to the track. I see Vettel going fastest on a 31.8. And there I'm doing a 32.4, and to be honest I didn't really do many laps because free practice annoys me. I really wanted to get stuck into qualifying, see what I could do with the car really, and I thought I was making a bit of progress. I thought, why not just make the progress in qualifying when it counts or something. So you see there, Nico Rosberg all the way down in 8th position. You know, free practice doesn't really mean much, but I still expect him to be higher up, maybe top 5. Rather than all the way down in 8th, slower than a Jenson Button, who's up there in 6th position. So here we are then, heading into qualifying. This is the end of my first lap as I'm heading down towards the start finish line. See Gutierrez fast on a 31.9, and I'm at a 32.1. Really poor first lap from me, to be honest. And to be honest, my second lap was even worse. I wasn't able to improve, so I had 1 lap left on without any fuel left, and I managed to get first and second sectors were okay. Managed to get an alright run out there, coming out of the last corner as I head down towards the start finish line, and that puts me second, which should be good enough for Q2, which indeed it is. I just skipped straight to Q2, and at the start of my flying lap at Q2 I had Adrian Sutil holding me up down the pit straight, and I was able to get a bit of a toe off him, but then going into turn 1 I had to really get my braking push spot on. I actually had to brake a tiny bit early, and it's affected my line and I lost a few tenths, but I set 130.5, which is only a tenth faster than what I managed in Q1 on the prime tyres, but it was enough to get me through to Q3. So here I am starting, come around to start my first lap of Q3, putting up into rich to get the maximum revs going down the straight. I wasn't really full throttle around that last corner, so minimise the wheel spin really, try and get a good run down to turn 1, Omen DRS, working through the gears down to 200 miles an hour there before I hit the brakes into turn 1. Nice good line through turn 2, working my way through the gears as I head down now to turn 3 to sort of finish off the start of the lap. Managed to get on the brakes decently into Q3 at turn 3, which has sort of been a bit of a bane to me, to be honest. Turn 3, as I couldn't really get on the brakes in free practice down. My car would just, the rear axle would lock up and I'd go quite a bit wide and lose a few tenths, but I did manage to hook it up pretty well through there. And again, going through the high speed chicane, cutting the corner a bit, maybe losing a tenth because F1 decides to slow you down and spin you, but that luckily didn't happen to me there because I managed to let go of the throttle. Now as I head into a 290-degree right-handed, which I struggle through, especially this one. I just have to lift off and lose quite a bit of time to the AI, and struggling to get it stopped there into this penultimate turn, which again it really was. I just couldn't get it stopped in there in free practice either. I was really not confident in the brakes, but managed to put together a fairly decent lap here, and then managed to go fastest on a 29.3. So it was a really decent lap there for me, and I put it all ready to go out again, change the tyres and everything. But because the AI don't come in and change tyres, I was very confident. I stayed in the garage and kept some option tyres in case I need them for tomorrow, and indeed I managed to stay on pole. As we cut here to the race, now strategy wise it recommended option prime, but I decided to go option prime option because of the tyre wear. I like to get a feel for the prime tyres, see what sort of pace I can manage, see the durability. Because Australia here, when you're on career mode, the tyre wear is awful, so I sort of planned really that I'll probably get option prime because of the tyre wear so bad, and that really did give me a good flexibility rather than going option prime if the primes were so undurable. I'd have to do quite a large stint at the end on the primes or even the 3-stopper. So here we go, into my first race here at Melbourne. But I was a bit nervous, to be honest, because it's the first time I'd recorded any of my footage of me doing any races. But I was sort of thinking off the line here, maybe finishing 4th, 5th position, because in the race pace, my race pace, I'm quite inconsistent when it comes to races, so I lose a bit of pace in the race. So the Mercedes probably will gain, definitely Mercedes will catch me, I think, because of their speed. But as we go down to turn 1 and turn 2, Hamilton brakes so early and it gave me a bit of a cushion. I really wasn't expecting that. I got a nice 2-3 second cushion as coming around to the end of the first sector. I've got a gap of 2.64 seconds back to Nico Rosberg in second place. That really might help me push through, and just maybe if I can maintain that gap, I could potentially be on for a good finish here. Try and maintain that gap for this first stint, or will give me, hopefully it'll take me a bit of time to catch me, which really will help me go further in the race and maybe finish up a bit higher. As we come down to the end of second sector, and he's already gained 1.1 seconds, and it just shows that in the race I'm just not really got that much race pace. This first lap here, normally the AI going quite slowly, but you see there I make a mistake there and run wide and lose probably about half a second to Nico Rosberg. I just really just not got any confidence in the car at this first stage of the race. Just coming down to the end of the first lap, and Rosberg's already made up that time in the 38.9. It really wasn't a very good lap from you there. Cutting the corner there, just it's not very tidy really from you as I come out of turn 2, putting it into Rich just to get some more straight line speed out of the car, and then just not getting the car stopped at all. I just had no confidence on the brakes at all this weekend. The setup hasn't really suited me this weekend, which is surprising because I quite like to drive with that setup. So I head now into turn 5 and now faded into the chicane here. I think it's turn 9 and 10. As we head out, I was running too deep there and just not getting a great run out. And Nico Rosberg actually getting a bit of a run at me there, but I'm able to defend him. I've got a bit of a trolley train here forming behind me with Rosberg and Vettel so close to each other there. As I head through now high speed chicane in turns 11 and 12, I do believe. Do correct me if I'm wrong. And now heading into the penultimate corner. I actually managed to get an alright line through there that time, just a slight bit of oversteer on the exit. But I'm already putting full throttle and going through that corner, because if I do, it just spins up the wheels and trying to preserve my tyres a bit here. As Rosberg gets a bit of a run on me, but thinks better of it heading down into turn 1. And now DRS enabled, I really do think it'll only be a matter of time before Nico Rosberg is able to have a serious attempt at overtaking me. As we head now down towards turn 3, hard on the brakes, trying to get it stopped, just managing to make the apex there. It's really just not getting the car stopped. I think the rear axle's locked quite a bit, But as you see there, I did actually go purple in the first sector, but I made a mistake and run wide. And my exit was compromised coming out of the corner, and I just forget to defend the inside. Really quite lazy of me, and Nico Rosberg says, I'll have a piece of that, and goes through and takes the lead off me. It's like touching the wall there. And now as we head down towards the right-hander, again going deep there, trying to make up time. Rosberg, and look, Vettel has got me, showing how much pace he's got in that Red Bull today. Maybe he could potentially challenge the Mercedes. And again, oversteer. Now Lewis Hamilton is all over the back of me like a rush, and is unable to get stopped again into that penultimate corner. As Lewis Hamilton now gets a fairly decent run of me coming out of the last corner. Getting a bit of oversteer again, swinging those wheels. Managed to hold a fairly decent line down into the first turn, because one thing I have noticed on this game is that when you defend, if you let the AI go down the inside, in most of the time they will back out of it early if they're on the inside going into a heavy braking area, which means you can regain the position, which is a bit of a glitch. I see them running wide again, it's not getting the car stuck, and Hamilton having a bit of a run at me into there, and in fact gets passed by Alonso because he has to park at an apex again. That's what I was talking about. If the AI are on the inside going to a braking zone or into a corner, they will back out of it, and it's something Codemasters really do need to sort out for the next game, because they need to be much more aggressive going down to the inside. Now we've got Alonso going around the outside of me, up to the inside there, to be honest. So I have a bit of oversteer, and it's Alonso. I don't mind if he overtakes me because he's my teammate and I want to do best for the team, but unfortunately he doesn't capitalise on that, so now I go a bit defensive down towards turn 3, but then I see Alonso's run is compromised, so I hold the racing line going down to turn 3, but again, not making apex when struggling on the brakes. As now with Alonso making a bit of time on me, but again massive oversteer there as I go wide over the sleeping policemen, which really are very annoying right there, stopping you from going wide. Now I hit the brakes down into the end of the first sector. And for Vettel, 6.481 seconds ahead of me in the first sector of that 5. Now again locking up the rear axles and going wide, but it's not getting the car stopped, having no confidence in the brakes. As again look, I just lazily forget that inside line again. As now with Alonso getting a run at me, by giving the space for a bit of wheel touching, but he backs out of it because he's on the inside line. As my run is a bit compromised going through the high speed chicane there, because I had to brake a bit later and a bit harder. Now not getting a great run coming out of the penultimate corner. Going a bit, cutting it inside a bit too much, and Hamilton gets a great run coming out of that last corner. And now gets a run on me, but I'm holding the outside line, so I'm trying to force him across a bit to the inside. Hope that he breaks early, which indeed it does, so I regain the position again. And I think that means Alonso has got past Lewis Hamilton now. As we cut to the start of the second sector. Now we're running a bit wide, not really taking the line great, and heavy braking down to Sting. I'm just not getting it stopped and missing the apex. Running wide is really compromising my exit out of here. And Alonso tries to pass me, but I actually realised this time that I need to block that inside, and I managed to stop Alonso from going up the inside of me there. Holding a fairly decent line, to be honest, and again my run through there is so compromised and so slow because I'm really struggling for grip at this point on these option tyres. The tyre wear this first race is just insane. There's really heavy issues with tyre wear, which I think is slightly unrealistic, to be honest, because they don't have huge tyre wear issues. It is manageable and don't drop a couple of seconds a lap slower. And below, Sebastian Vettel 130.1. That's only half a second slower than his qualifying lap. He's on the near start of the race and he's on heavy fuel. It's just insane. It's completely unrealistic. And look there, you see my tyres is completely shot there. Thinking about coming into the pits. Look, I run wide, just got no grip. Like, how on earth the AI cars managed to keep such decent pace on heavily worn tyres? I took a huge amount of oversteer, just no tyre wear left, and then running wide. I immediately must pit, and look, Rosberg a 130.062. How is he managing that pace? It's insane. His tyres are probably as worn as mine. See Hamilton following me into the pits here. It's just incredible how they're able to manage that pace when their tyres are worn. Codemasters need to sort something out about that. I'm not going to get held in the pits behind the McLaren and the Toro Rosso, so that means I lose the position to Lewis Hamilton, which is frustrating because I was keeping behind me for so long during that middle stint. But now I exit the pit lane and immediately put it into rich mode, because I know that I must overtake Lewis Hamilton in his first few corners if I stand any chance of beating him. But disaster, and Valtteri Bottas overtakes me and splits me and Hamilton, going down now and run down to turn 3, really putting an end to any hopes I had of overtaking Hamilton. But I thought I just take a dive bomb up the inside and see if I could get past Hamilton, but unfortunately it didn't work, and I did in fact clip Lewis Hamilton. And really that was the end of my challenge, run a bit wide over sleeping policeman. But I did manage to stay ahead of Bottas crucially, because he is on a 3-stop strategy and he will have pace towards the end of the race. Because he can just push so hard, so I think he will be one to watch out for towards the end of the race. So now as we head out now to start of lap 9, and I'm really hoping I can stay ahead of Alonso. Look, he's nowhere to be seen. Look at that, he's already coming out of turn 2, that's how much pace he had. And I immediately saw Ricciardo coming out of the pit lane. I knew I had to get ahead of him there to stay ahead of him, which is crucial for my race. And I managed to overtake him though. The rather bullish move going down, coming out of turn 2 and sort of barging my way past. So now as we head down to the corner again, just struggling to get the car stopped into the, there's no confidence on the brakes whatsoever. Has now come out of turn 3, out of the penultimate corner now, heading down towards the start finish straight with Ricciardo all over the back of me, but holding a good line so he cannot get past me. Now we exit turn 2, a fairly decent run. I think Ricciardo brake checked himself there going down into turn 1 and 2, meaning he dropped back significantly. Now we've got Bottas again all over the back of me. And again, look, the AI just going faster and faster at this point in the race, and it really is quite ridiculous really the fact that they have that pace, similar to their qualifying pace, not even halfway through a 50% race. It's something that Codemasters really need to work on. It's as if they're not affected by fuel and tyre wear. As now we head down into turn 1 again, being able to defend from Bottas because we held a good line here. We're now taking fairly decent laps there, 1:33.5, but still not as good, as the AI. I mean, I'm probably only a couple of tenths off where I should be if you relate this to F1 terms, because if you look at it this year, the Mercedes Hamilton was 4 seconds his fastest lap was off his qualifying time. Add a second onto that for what he could do if he was really pushing on 29, that's 3 seconds off, which should probably sit on the option tyre as well. So I'm 4 seconds off mine, I'm on the prime tyre, which is, it's an alright pace to be on, especially at this point in the race. So it's just frustrating me. I was getting really frustrated at this point in the race, making a few mistakes here and there, because the fact that AI had such good pace, and it's quite unrealistic pace really, and again he's not getting the car stopped in there. Really had been a bogey corner for me all weekend, and look, my run was so compromised. Ricciardo got past me coming out of that corner, and so I knew immediately that if I was to stay ahead of him, I had to get past him. And he went slide defensive into that corner and braked so early. So nearly hit him, to be honest. But it was just ridiculous how early he braked into that corner, when he was quite clearly ahead and could have just taken the racing line. And again, as we cut to lap 18, the tyres have gone again, and I'm trying decide to pit this lap to get the undercut on Daniel Ricciardo, or at least try and fight to stay ahead of him, because the tyres were so just worn away. I just knew I wouldn't really be able to defend for that much longer, so I decided to pit and hope I could get the undercut on him. So what the pit stop time is 3.76, is pretty standard on this game. I wish, to be honest, there was varying pit stops. You might see a mechanic making a mistake here or there, the wheel getting stuck, just to throw a bit of something into the mix. Like if it was, on the hard difficulties like expert or legendary, that would be quite a good idea really. I think just maybe having like one where it's like 3.5 seconds, 3.4, but then one like a slow one like a 4 seconds, so a sticky wheel or something. I don't know, just something for Codemasters to think about really. I think that'd be quite a good idea. So really now I just started trying to pump out the laps, seeing how fast I could go, trying to set good sector times, so see if I could catch up to Alonso and stay ahead of Ricciardo. But as we see here coming on to lap 20, Ricciardo is unfortunately ahead of me. In lap 21, Magnussen coming out of the pit lane, hopefully I can stay ahead of him, which I'm able to do. But look, there's Ricciardo, about 4 or 5 seconds up the road from me. Which is a bit of a shame really. I did try, and I was able to put in some fairly decent laps, putting a 32.7, which wasn't too bad to be honest from me, but there making a slight mistake of running onto the grass, but that didn't really affect my lap time. I was able to do a 31.5. So I did find some alright pace in the car. I was finally able to get my confidence going in this final stint when the tyres were fresh, and I got into a bit of a rhythm really while the tyres were lasting pretty well. Coming in at the end of the first sector, and then unfortunately on the radio I get told that Fernando Alonso has retired from the Grand Prix, which is a bit disappointing really, but that is unfortunate. As now So you look, Hamilton at 29.4, that's a tenth off my qualifying lap time. It's a tenth, and he's got, you know, tyre wear. His tyres are pretty old now, and he's still got a fair amount of fuel in, and you know, it's just, he shouldn't be able to go that fast at this point in the race on worn tyres. You know, he's probably got engine turned down. You know, it's just ridiculous. They got a really poor run out of that corner, a massive over to the tyres, really starting to wear now. As I come around into the high speed chicane. Really, I'm just trying not to hold my position from Magnussen because my tyres are just completely gone now. You know, I had some decent pace while they're fresh, but now the tyre wear's kicked in, I'm just nowhere. I just been running right there into that 90-degree right-hander. And again, that was actually a pretty good take around there for that corner until I got slightly wide onto the gravel. And again, it was alright, line through there as well. But the AI able to go so much faster. They can just hook up the car so much better than me going through there. I've seen now Magnussen getting a bit of a run on me down towards turn 1 and turn 2, but I'm able to hold a pretty good line so Magnussen can't overtake. As you heard now, look at 34. Sorry, that shows how much I'm struggling now for these tyres. Really, tyre wear affects you that much, and plus with the pressure of Magnussen, you know, making bits and mistakes here and there, really struggling to be about this point. And now again, another mistake. There's no confidence on the brakes at all, and then with the tyre wear as well, the car is just really unresponsive on the brakes, and I'm just not getting the car stopped. Because you see the McLaren's behind me. Is that two McLaren squabbling for position? Hamilton again, look, going for, I want 29.1, 0.2 of a second faster than me on tyres that are probably 8 laps old at this point. It's just absolutely insane that he's able to pump out these lap times in a race. It's just ridiculous. He would not be able to go that fast at this point in a race. So we've got Magnussen all over the back of me like an unwanted rush. That's from daybreak. I think Magnussen slightly made contact with me going through that corner and lost this front wing end fence, as I got a bit of oversteer, I think, going into that corner and cut the corner. So I was so just uncomfortable on the brakes. I had to brake so early going into there to get a bit of oversteer, get on the exits. But now Magnussen trying to go around the outside and move over to be able to give him a bit of space, and then he suddenly backs out of it, giving me the position back. Again, cutting that corner, I had no confidence in the brakes going into those corners. And now at the last lap of the race, and look at that, Rosberg's won the race and I'm in turn 3. That's how much pace Mercedes had compared to us today. In what, 27 laps, he was able to pull out over a minute on me. At least a minute there. And you know, that's just insane pace. That's 2 to 3 seconds a lap faster. Well, it's just something, you know, I need to work on from my point. I need to find more pace, better set up in the car, but some of it is just down to the fact that AI can just set stupid pace in the race. It has now come across the line to finish 5th in my first race. I'm pretty pleased with that. And I did start on pole position, but I am pleased with that. It's somewhere, you know, it's a base for us to start with. You know, I can improve from there. And to be honest, I think, you know, Mercedes and Red Bull were out of our league. I was able to hold off the two McLarens at the end, which is good. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. But everyone up to Bottas getting lapped. That's the pace that the two Mercedes drivers had. They got lapped. Everyone up to 9th place got lapped. That's just insane pace by the Mercedes there, to be honest. And you know, I've got to work on my pace, but that is still pretty incredible pace the two Mercedes and the two Red Bull showed during that Grand Prix. So yeah, see there, Bioshock Infinite. I'm downloading that to play it, and then hopefully get some gameplay for that. But yeah, that concludes really my first episode of the Formula 1 2014 career mode. Thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe if you like that video for more gameplay videos. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.
Careful, don't take out your teammate.